I probably would call you because it's been so long since I've called or written. But I've got some news I don't think I should talk about over the phone. Virgil, Ivan, Gus Grissom, NASA astronaut. Good evening, everybody. Man, that Gus Grissom, we could just do a whole show on him, which we probably should one day. So, this is the top 5 reasons, actually NASA's top 5 reasons why they can't get back to the moon. And that's an important distinction because there are people who will say, hey, why can't NASA go back to the moon? But they're not NASA. So who better than to hear it from NASA's own mouths, or whatever their own words that they state in some article or some video that they say. Heck, there's a lot of ammo just on videos themselves, but blogs and article posts from mainstream media, that's gold. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Now, if you're pretty new to my channel, just know that it's just to sit down with me going over mainstream media articles. Hopefully it's the official narrative I'm going over. Sometimes I may kind of segue, and also if it's from .gov site or a .edu, the better. And so here is Business Insider, where I just pretty much started. And I just want to highlight that the number 5 reason, there you go, look at that, how do you like that, is budgetary constraints. Now, if you didn't know, recently, their budget, NASA, their fiscal year for 2019 got higher, 21.5 billion plus 6.9 billion plus 5 billion. So here we're going to go, and this article by Business Insider by Dave Mosher and Hillary Brueck, July 14, 2018, 10 a.m. Astronauts explain why nobody has visited the moon in more than 45 years, and the reasons are depressing. So pretty much the number one reason that they say is that it's really expensive to get to the moon, but not that expensive, and goes over Trump's NASA annual budget. Now, here's the thing. This is why I listed number 5. You can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the talented scientists, engineers, mathematicians, etc. to build your rockets and to figure out the types of fuel you're going to use in order to get you past low Earth orbit, and once you're past low Earth orbit, to protect you against the Van Allen radiation belt, and man, we're going to go on and on, aren't we? And the mathematician is to figure out, hey, how do you get to point A to point B and back again and all this other stuff? Well, all that money's useless. So number 5 is that they do need money, and they state how much money that they need. And they even have their own site where you can go ahead and look at their budget that they propose. And you can just look at the national budget. And here on The Verge, they have an article, which is the first one. I just wanted to see what's the budget for NASA. So 2019 NASA budget. This is just in Google. First result, theverge.com. So Verge.com shows newly signed funding bill gives NASA's budget a significant boost, and nothing gets cut, by Lauren Grush, February 15, 2019 at 4:18 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'll just go ahead and read the first 2 paragraphs. All of these are linked in the description box if you're on YouTube. If you're viewing from vim.tv and Steam it, you'll get all the links as well. So after enduring the longest government shutdown in history, NASA stands to receive a big boost in funding for fiscal year 2019 thanks to a new budget bill signed by President Trump today. The legislation, which funds the federal government through September 30th, 2019, would give NASA $21.5 billion and increased over last year's budget of $20.7 billion and much more than the $19.9 billion the agency asked for. Practically every program within NASA will receive a boost. The agency's science programs, which cover planetary missions and Earth science, will receive a total $6.9 billion, up from $6.2 billion from last year. The Human Exploration Program will get $5 billion, while it got $4.79 billion in 2018. And it goes over a lot more stuff. And you can actually also read the budget at docs.house.gov, bills this week, 2019-02-11. The link is in the description box again. It's a 1,169 page document, so when you do go over, just note it's going to be quite a while until you're done. Or you can go ahead and go to nasa.gov. They do release their fiscal year budgets, but they don't have it they only have it for the previous year, so you can get it for 2018, but for fiscal year 2019 you won't see that until 2020. But they do have their budget requests and all that stuff that they have. And most of the stuff that we can do, if we can find it on NASA or NASA's various YouTube video sites, channels, that's better. Okay, now number four is pretty important, and it's Saturn V rockets, or Saturn V rockets can no longer be made. And so I was just searching, can't we just use the Saturn V to get back? And there were, of course, a lot of results from YouTube. I don't like it when it goes to like a space.stack exchange or Quora.com, or a forum in NASA, even spaceflight, because anyone could talk about it and make excuses for NASA. I want to hear it from NASA themselves. So, well, the thing is, we can't quite get it from NASA themselves. I just had to find something. Space.com was probably the best. It's close to it, not quite NASA, but they do sometimes interview NASA, or at least they cover a lot of the things that NASA releases. They're journalists. They're gonna have to cover things, right? Do their jobs. They get paid for it. How much of a budget did NASA get for lying and not, or being incompetent at least? Man, and I get paid nothing, to tell you the truth. All right, let's see. 10 surprising facts about NASA's mighty Saturn V moon rocket, by Elizabeth Howell, November 9th, 2017. And goes over quite a lot of things, and a lot of surprising facts. But let's not focus on that. I mean, it was pretty successful right here. I think this is one thing I will focus on before moving on to the main point. And 13 mostly successful missions. While the Saturn V was a complex machine, the rocket had a remarkable safety record. The Saturn V successfully flew 13 times, including 10 times with people on board. While some of these launches had flaws, in almost every case, the Saturn V sent its cargo safely into orbit. However, the Skylab space station was severely damaged during the Saturn V launch. More on that in the next slide, which I won't go to. The next slide. Now, let's see. Here's one. Its first stage engines were tested recently. Beginning in 2013, NASA engineers working on the next generation SLS rocket initiated a program to retest the F1 engine from the Saturn V's first stage to gain better insight into how it was designed and how it worked. Again, this is an engine, a rocket, half a century ago. They can't come up with anything better. They have to just go back and say, hey, these were good. Why don't we make these again? Oh, we can't. Well, let's figure out how people built it back then. So the new data would help those engineers in their quest to send humans back to the moon to work on these components, including hot fire test, 3D scanning, and gas generator testing. Being able to hold the parts of this massive engine, quote, that once took us to the moon, restoring it and then seeing it come back to life through hot firings and test data has been an amazing experience, Kate Estes, unquote. I'm getting those quote and unquotes wrong. But anyways, Kate Estes is a NASA liquid propulsion systems engineer, said in a NASA release in 2013. Blast from the Past, again, space.com by Robert Z. Perlman, January 22nd, 2013. Blast from the Past, NASA's fires historic national... Oh, my goodness. NASA fires historic engine parts for new rocket. And here, I'll just go ahead and read the 3 paragraphs. First 3. NASA is reigniting its mighty moon rocket engine using parts retrieved from museums and displays. Engineers working this month at the Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama, are completing a series of test firings using recovered components from 40-year-old F1 engines. The 19-foot tall by 12-foot wide, Apollo powerhouse has launched the space agency's Saturn V rockets on voyages to Earth orbit and to the moon. Between 1967 and 1973, a total of 65 F1 engines were launched, 5 per flight, on 13 Saturn V boosters. Pretty good, right? Well, once they figure out the rockets that they can successfully launch, it has to do one thing. Well, a couple things, but one main thing, which is to number 3, get past. Oh, no. I was going to do number 2. I think, did I skip something? I think it might have been I needed to do top 6 reasons, but all right. So first thing they need to do is once they get past, I got the numbers all mixed up. Once they get past Earth's orbit, they're going to have to get past the Van Allen radiation belt. Now, what's interesting, if you go to NASA's site, they have a premiere trial by fire video on Orion's flight test. What's interesting about that is when you go and watch the video, you get to listen to this fella who is this fella? I think he gives an intro early on, but he's definitely part of important part of NASA. Otherwise, they wouldn't have him on, obviously. So this is NASA Johnson. And can I get this guy's name? And I'll get back to 3-minute mark. All right, here we go. The guy's name is... come on.
My name is Kelly Smith, and I work on navigation and guidance for Orion.
There you go. That's who he is. Now let's go back to 3-minute marks, and I can go ahead and play it back.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. For this flight, it's time to head home. The upper stage of the rocket triggers separation. Orion's jets fire to turn it into the proper position to re-enter Earth's atmosphere. No matter what happens now, we're coming in. 75 miles above Earth, the spacecraft enters the atmosphere. Things happen quickly. We're now traveling more than 20,000 miles per hour. Air particles pushed out of the way heat up. An envelope of hot plasma surrounds the vehicle as it plummets towards Earth. The plasma reaches temperatures of 4,000 degrees Fahrenheit, almost twice as hot as molten lava. This may be the most dangerous part of the flight. Mission Control is monitoring all the data from the spacecraft, and then we lose communication again. No data can penetrate the plasma. Orion is on its own.
Anyways, the important part there was getting past the Van Allen radiation belts. They're going to have a couple of other issues, which they should have already experienced all those issues before, right? They've landed on the moon successfully 6 times. They orbited the moon even a couple of times. There are manned missions. they had no issues back then, and this was back in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Anyways, that's number 3. Here's number 2. Can't get past low Earth orbit. Well, before they get to the Van Allen radiation belt, they have to get past the low Earth orbit. And I've got things way out of whack here. Not that one. Here we go. Yeah, this is just out of order. Sorry about that. I don't know why. Oh, okay. That's the wrong video. All right, so here we go. ISS crew discusses life in space. This is channeled by NASA. All right, so give it a listen.
And what comes after the International Space Station once its mission is over? How do we ensure the presence of humans in space?
Well, that's a great question. The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go, and this new system that we're building is
So the farthest we can go right now, it's 2019. I guess in this video, I mean, we still can't get past it. This is back in 2015. I mean, what? Again, I think I hear a couple of other quotes in other channels. Or other people on my channel that come on. They go, yeah, this is like the only technology that seems to go backwards, getting worse than better. All right, so as well as an article on blogs.nasa.gov, ISS science blog, and you can find in the description box. Here it says, let me zoom in a bit more. This is an exciting time in human space exploration. We are addressing questions today that will lead to safer journeys off our planet. This month, NASA astronaut Scott Kelly and Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Kornienko will embark on the first joint U.S.-Russian one-year mission to the space station. Most stays on station are 6 months in duration, but planners anticipate a journey to Mars to be closer to 1,000 days. This one-year mission is a stepping stone in our travels beyond low Earth orbit. A stepping stone in our travels behind low Earth orbit. So again, we gotta figure out how to get past the low Earth orbit. I should have put that number 3. Number 2 should have been how to get past the Van Allen radiation belts. But heck, if we can't even get out to the Van Allen radiation belts, I think that's why I put this as number 2. And number 1, destroyed their own technology and telemetry data. So we're paying these incompetent people, I would call them bureaucracy, billions of dollars to try to accomplish something they supposedly accomplished 50 years ago, but they can't do so anymore. Why? Because they destroyed all of the data, all the technology. So there's a Aron Ranen who made a documentary, Did We Go? And here's Gene Kranz. He's Apollo 11 flight director at NASA. We're going to go to 7 minutes, 7 second mark. I'm just doing this so you can actually see who he is right here.
Everything that was happening aboard the Apollo 11 flight was constantly streaming down to antenna sites all over the world. From the astronauts' heartbeats to electrical use inside the command module, it was all recorded on these telemetry tapes. So where is this hard evidence?
I haven't seen anything that indicates the telemetry data is even in existence, and as I said, even if we had it, we don't have the machines to play it back.
But your own research has shown the telemetry data is missing.
That's right.
Could this be true, mankind's first interplanetary exploration and the original?
Man's supposedly most historic event ever. I don't need to say anything.
Original science data is missing?
This is Houston, radio check, over.
If it's anywhere, it should be here at NASA's Goddard Space Center in Maryland, home to the National Space Science Data Archives.
This film you're making now, what is it?
This is a film trying to prove that Apollo 11 happened.
Does it have a name? I mean, do you have a name for it yet,
I
or
think
you?
you're calling it Did We Go?
Did we go? Okay, okay.
Doesn't have it either. The Smithsonian doesn't have it. Johnson doesn't have it.
Right. We've been unable to track it down. I mean, we don't know where this telemetry data ended up, and we don't know what path it may have taken. So, unfortunately, I'm afraid I can't really give you much of a clue as to where this data ended up and whether it still exists or not.
I don't have to say anything, right? They're saying it all for us. I mean, right now at this point, if you haven't caught on about this, it's not conspiracy theorists. I mean, I am a conspiracy theorist. That's fine. You want to call me whatever. It's not that we're making this stuff up. We're just telling you exactly what they're saying. That's the viewpoint that I like to make. I like to tell you exactly the official narrative. And that's all I have to tell you. I don't have to tell you anything else. All right. Now, I wanted to find Don Pettit's original footage of the technology destroyed, because you'll see this everywhere. I wish I could figure out the source of the video where he's giving this interview. I think I might have found it once, but man, this video is posted all over the internet and YouTube that I can't find it. So if anyone can actually can tell me, and I think I'll try looking at that. But if we can find the actual main original source video that has the entire footage, just so it could be known as a source, that would be awesome. I couldn't find it as much as I wanted to. And that's the thing, you know, getting this whole thing ready to play back live on multiple platforms. There's a lot of prep work involved, a lot of nitty gritty little things that I can do. But anyways, let's play this back. This will be the last video.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
All right, that's it, really. I hope you enjoyed it. Right? Let's go over it again. Oh, he found it on RT. Okay, I have to look at RT's video. I mean, that they actually just say straight up all these things. I mean, there's no excuses anymore, right? They've got the budget. Let's review everything again, right? They got a budget. I mean, they say they may need something like around $200 billion over like 10 years or something like that, but heck, they'll get that plus more. So we should be in the moon, back to the moon by 2029 at least, right? At least their budget is done. I mean, their budget is met, their constraints. Saturn V rockets can no longer be made, but they're trying to make a new rocket based off of designs of the Saturn V rocket. I think they actually have a modified version of the Saturn V rocket that they're gonna try implementing. I think they have like a blueprint, but they're not gonna actually make it yet. They cannot get past the Van Allen radiation belts, so that's the least of their worries. Once they do get out there, they gotta figure out how to keep people safe. But again, they've kept people safe. They've landed astronauts on the moon 6 out of 6 times without incident. A lot of them have lived very, very long lives without any radiation complications or anything like that. Plus, a lot of the photography and video footage came back intact through the Van Allen radiation belt. They just couldn't survive NASA themselves. And they can't get past low Earth orbit. They did quite a few times. Heck, even Russia did. They can't seem to do that now, which I wonder is like, it's like, what have they been doing since their last Apollo mission and the excuses that they're making, right? Right. And then, of course, their own incompetence. So they destroyed everything. They taped over everything. They've lost things. It's like, why do we keep giving them money? Why do we even let them do anything? Because if they accomplish something, what's their next excuse when they lose it all? Oh, wait, Mars. I knew that was important. We should have, learned from our first mistake with everything that happened with getting to the moon, and not make the same mistake when we go to Mars. And then they'll go to Mars 50 years after that. They go, oh crap. We destroyed our own technology to get back to Mars, and telemetry data, heck, all our video and our photography footage, at least the originals and the raw files. Yeah. Thanks, Kathy. I know. I tried searching for it. It's hard to find things on the internet now that Google is pretty screwy. They're like the worst search engine ever. If you're looking up certain specific topics, of course. Okay, that was it. It's a short video. I just want to get the Type 5 out there that NASA says they can't get back to the moon. And it's a challenge right now. Was it that Vice President Pence said, yeah, you better get back to the moon or else. All right. Have a good night, everyone, and we'll see you later. And all right, here we go.